So as we move through the session, it's really important that you go at your own pace. So I will keep giving tips and suggestions, and if at any point you want to rest or you feel the need to rest, then sitting and breathing is a really good yoga practice. It's also, of course, important to stay safe and to stay steady. So I really encourage you to keep responsibility for your own body, to make your decisions over whether something is the good thing for you to do. And if you're not sure, then you could watch and then join back in when you're ready. And I really want to emphasize the idea of yoga. Often when we think of yoga, we think of very stretchy, physical things that we're doing, and we do those. But yoga as a word means union. So it means coming together of two things. And so for this session, I want you to really think about yoga as bringing us into being more whole, feeling more whole, or maybe union of all those separate parts of ourselves coming together. Now, to do that as a practice, it doesn't mean that we need any physical ability at all, which is why sitting and breathing can be a really good yoga practice. So anytime you need to rest, have a rest. Keep the breath going, keep awareness with your breath, and join back in when you're ready. And most importantly, perhaps, is it needs to be enjoyable as well as being safe. So pick the things that you find enjoyable within the session today. Pick the things that feel good for you. All right, so we shall get going. So sitting on the chair, I'm sitting forwards on the chair, but equally you might be sitting back and taking the support from the back of the chair. I'm going to come forwards again. Going to take a look at our feet and see if we can place them really evenly. Often we'll sit with, say, one foot out or one foot turned out, or some asymmetry in the feet. So we're going to just place them as well as we can, as symmetrical as we can. We're going to be sitting up straight and tall without having to grip really hard or put in too much effort, but equally we don't want to just be slumped in the chair. So as much as possible, we're going to be sitting up tall. And again, if you find it hard to sit up tall in the chair without some support, then do sit back against the back of the chair. So we'll start with some movement. I'm going to start with a movement of rolling the shoulders forwards and up, and then squeezing them back together and down. And we're going to stay moving the shoulders. The body stays really quite still, the rest of the body. And as we do the shoulders, we're going to bring them forwards and up as we breathe in, and back and down as you breathe out. Now, some people can find it really tricky to coordinate movement with the breathing. So if you're finding it difficult, don't worry whether you're breathing in or out when you're moving your shoulders. Keep the shoulders moving and keep breathing. We'll do a couple more. All right, and coming back to rest. Having a reset if you need to, so you can be sitting up tall and in the middle again. And now as you breathe out, going to look over your right shoulder. Hold it there. Keep breathing well. And coming back to the middle. Going over to the other side. Keep looking off to the side as you breathe. And coming back to the middle. We're going to do exactly the same thing once more. So turning to the first side. Still sitting up straight and tall. Be aware of your breath. And coming back to the front again. Second time to the second side. Coming back to the front. So just a reminder, as we're going through the movements today, if you were to do a movement, say the turning of the head, and you find that it becomes painful or too difficult, then you could try turning the head less and not going the whole way. Or maybe you don't hold it for as long and you come back to the middle and rest. Really important that you don't push into pain or push into anything that feels uncomfortable or unhelpful. So let's have a little reset. And this time we're going to take the ear towards the shoulder. So for you, you're going to take your right ear towards your right shoulder. We keep looking straight ahead, even though the head's tilted to the side. So I'm not turning my head this time. The shoulders stay down low. We're not bringing the shoulders up to the ear. Back to the middle. Over to the other side. Keep the shoulders low. Keep sitting up tall. Keep breathing. Of course, we breathe all the time, don't we? But sometimes when we exercise, we can hold our breath. So just to make sure that we've still got that rhythmical, easy breath. Wonderful. All right. So we're going to move away from the neck. You can have your hands resting on your knees or wherever they happen to be. We're going to do some work for the middle and for the pelvis. So can you sit up really straight and tall, lifting up the chest, maybe looking up at the same time? And you'll feel that you really roll towards the thighs. We've got something called sit bones in yoga, and they're the bony bits in each buttock. So as you're doing this movement, you've rolled to the front of the sit bones. You're then going to tuck the tailbone under, drop the head down, curve the spine, and we're moving in the opposite direction. If you can link the breath as we breathe in, lifting up through the chest, sitting up tall, lifting up through the head, as long as the neck feels happy. As you breathe out, tuck the tailbone under, curving the spine, head drops down. I'll go for 2 more. Breathing in, lengthening through the front of the body. Breathing out, tucking the tailbone, curving the back of the body. Last time. Breathing out. And coming back to the middle. Great. Okay. So we're going to do some movements side to side. So you might find it helpful to have the hands down by your side. You might, if you've got arms on the chair, you might have your hands on the arms of the chair. Still sitting up straight and tall, and maybe let's just take a moment to check that the feet haven't drifted off into a different position. Mine had. So let's have them as symmetrical as we can. Now, as we do this movement, we're going to keep the feet, the knees, the thighs, and the pelvis still. Okay. So take a breath, sit up a little taller. As you breathe out, take your right hand down towards the ground, the left shoulder comes up. Coming back to the middle. Going to do the same, going the other way. Now keep going with these. Notice as I go over, I'm not leaning over so this side of my pelvis is coming off the chair, because it feels like I could fall off the chair if I was to do that. So we're going to keep pelvis really still. And those bony bits in each buttock that I mentioned, the sit bones, they stay down on the chair. Maybe you can feel both of them still. As you breathe out to reach down, Breathe in to come back up. And the movement is coming from above the waist. Keep going as long as it feels okay to. Some people feel this as quite a stretchy movement. Some people feel this as having to work quite hard at staying still in the lower half of the body as the upper half moves. Or you might feel something else, and of course all of it is completely normal. The next time you go to your right, we're just going to hold it there and feel your breath going into the other side of the rib cage. Coming up, over to the other side. Feel the breath into that top side of the rib cage. And coming up. Rest the hands on the knees. Just take a breath there. So the last movement in this little section going to be sitting up straight and tall again. We're going to keep the legs still again. As you breathe out, we're going to twist around, and maybe you want to get your hands down onto your leg, or maybe you can take hold of the chair, just to help you find that twist. It's quite natural when we go into the twist that we kind of shuffle the pelvis round and the knees change position, and we get more into our twist. It feels like we're twisting more. If that feels better for you, you can do it that way. But just try keeping everything in the lower half of the body still and doing the twist, even if you feel like you don't get so far. Remember, it's not about how far we go, it's about how it's feeling in the body. And then coming back to the front, reset if you need to, sit up tall, breathing out, going around the other way. Just going to wherever feels like that's enough for you today. Still keeping the spine long and sitting up straight. Maybe there's a bit more twist to be had. Maybe you even want to look over your shoulder. And coming back to the front. Do that one more time, shall we? So getting ourselves set up. Take a breath in, and that allows us to lengthen through the spine. As you turn, you're just getting to wherever you're getting to today. The lower half stays still as long as that feels comfortable and helpful for you. Maybe you want to turn your head to look over your shoulder. Notice how the breath feels. It can feel quite different when we're in this twist. We can use the breath to add a bit more stretch and expansion through the rib cage. Coming back to the front. Second time, second side. Set yourself up. And off you go into the twist. Lower half of the body stays still. If you want to look over your shoulder, you can. Feel your breath. Notice how it does feel when you're in this twist. If you have some tight spots, can you take your breath into those tight spots? And coming back to the front. Okay, so we're going to stay still for a few moments now, and it may be again that you want to sit back into your chair. If you do sit back in the chair and before you were sat forwards, you might need something underneath your feet. Find what works for you. You can still be sitting forwards if you prefer, but we're just going to take some moments to work with our breathing and really want to feel as if we're breathing down into the belly or into the abdomen. So as long as it's comfortable to, you're going to breathe it in and out through your nose. It's going to be a slow and gentle breath. And as you breathe in, as if you could breathe all the way down to your abdomen. Now you might find, like I was doing there, you might find it helpful to have a hand on your abdomen, on your belly. And so as you breathe in, you might feel that the belly comes out, not because you're pushing it out, just it happens automatically with this breath. As you breathe out, it drops down again. So a hand there might be helpful. It can also be helpful to have a hand up on the chest, on the upper chest. Because sometimes when we're breathing, the breath comes really up high, up into the chest, and we don't want that to happen right now as much as possible. We don't want that to happen. So this hand here is giving some feedback. And we want the hand on the belly to be moving more than the hand on the chest. And we're just going to stay with that as a breath. If you want to close your eyes, you could close your eyes. If you're going to keep your eyes open, then keep your gaze steady at one point. So look at a steady point. For some people, when they're doing this kind of breath awareness, it can start to become uncomfortable, maybe as a feeling rather than something physical. And if that happens with you, then maybe you could have a shuffle and a reset and then come back. Okay, so the breath still needs to be enjoyable and everything should feel comfortable. So we're going to stay with our quiet breathing in and out through the nose. For some people, it can be helpful to give the mind something to do, because sometimes when we sit and we're still, it gives opportunity for our mind to do all the thinking about all the things that our minds think about. So sometimes it's helpful to give it something to do. So I've got two options for you if you want to do that. One would to be to mentally count as you're breathing in and as you're breathing out. So as you're breathing in, you can mentally count 1, 2, 3, wherever you get up to, and the same as you breathe out. The other option would simply to say to yourself, breathing in, you could just say it silently, and as you breathe out, breathing out. Okay, so we're going to stay with our breath. I'm going to go quiet for a few moments. You can just stay observing the breath. You don't have to have your hands here if you don't like. You can have them down, resting down. Up to you. You can keep with the breath awareness. You could add the counted breath if that feels helpful. Or you could add in mentally saying to yourself, breathing in as you breathe in and breathing out as you breathe out. Off we go. We'll do 2 more breaths like this. And when you're ready, open your eyes if your eyes are closed. Maybe having a little shuffle and a move in your chair. Fantastic. Well done. Okay, so for the next part, I'm going to come forwards on my chair again, and you might want to do the same. You can still keep back against the back of the chair if you prefer. We're going to check how our feet are placed. Hands are going to be resting on our legs. Okay. So as we breathe in now, we're going to lift the arms up. And as you breathe out, they're going to come down the sides and back down. Now, everyone's arms, of course, lift a different amount. So your arms might not lift all the way up. They might lift part way and they can come down. For some people, it might be easier or better to clasp your hands and lift them up. And maybe you come back down from the front. So find what works for you. Breathing out, arms come down. And the main thing we're doing here, apart from, of course, some shoulder movement and some movement of the arms, is we're linking our breath with movement. Actually, it should be the other way around. We're linking our movement with our breath. The breath comes first. We're going to do 3 more. As you reach up as much as you can, still sitting up tall. Watch that you don't kind of start to slump down. As you breathe out, arms come down, reach out to the sides, making yourself big. And 2 more, breathing in all the way up, reaching up, breathing out, arms come back down. Last one, and if it feels okay, we're going to hold the arms up there. Keep the shoulders down away from the ears so they're not hunching up. And even though the arms are lifted, can you press down into your feet? So you can feel your feet on the floor, but you're also reaching your fingertips up towards the ceiling and still breathing. No holding of the breath. As you breathe out, coming back down. Wonderful. And maybe you want to just give those arms a bit of a move and a shake. Okay. So one more movement for the arms, and we're going to bring our arms into this kind of cactus type position. So my elbows are about level with my shoulders. Equally, they could be a little bit lower. My elbows are bent and my hands are palms facing forwards, fingers spread wide. If this is too much for the shoulders, or in this position, if you find that you're slumping down with the effort of trying to lift the arms up, then just have the arms a little bit lower. Okay, so remember, it's about what makes us feel more whole, so we can feel the whole of the body. And if we're trying too hard in one part of the body, we tend to lose attention in all the other parts. So find the position that works for you. Shoulders are down low. As you breathe out, we're going to bring the arms forwards, and maybe the hands touch, maybe even the elbows touch, and coming back out. A couple more of those. Breathing out, bring the arms forwards, and coming back out. And again. And back out. Last time, breathing out, bring the arms forward. We're going to hold them there this time. See if you can squeeze the elbows or the forearms, the hands together some more. Lift the elbows up if they can. Can you take your hands away from your face? Still sitting up tall. Not too much strain or effort through other parts of the body, and still breathing a smooth breath. My elbows are slowly moving away from each other. Ooh. and lower the arms down, and just give those shoulders a shrug, because that's quite hard work for the shoulders, isn't it? In fact, let's do that a couple of times. So as you breathe in, I'm going to draw the shoulders up. As you breathe out, you're going to let go of effort and let the shoulders drop down. And we'll do that a couple of times. So breathing in, drawing the shoulders up, using the breath out to let go and the shoulders drop back down. Last one like that. Good. Okay. So we're going to do some movements taking the legs wide. So again, I'm going to do it at the front of the chair, but you can still stay sitting back. And you're going to take your feet as wide as feels helpful. Now, if you've got your feet on blocks or on those books or something like that, you'll need to widen that out too. And it might be that you don't take your legs as wide as mine are right now. Maybe they stay a bit closer together. Find what works for you. And once you do get your feet out, just check that they're evenly placed. And then it might be that you lean onto your legs and just give those legs a bit of a press out as a reminder that we want them to be wide. Just have a lean there. Come back to sitting up straight. Hands can just be resting on the knees. Good. So as you're sitting here, can you spread your toes out on the floor? Even if you've got socks or even shoes on, can you spread your toes as much as they'll spread, so you're broadening through the feet? Straight and tall through the spine. Feel the chest lift. So we don't want to be sat in this slump position. And if you are in this slump position, can you start to lift the chest even just a tiny bit? Or maybe you can lift it quite a lot. So you're up as tall as you can find right now. Now you might want to leave your hands resting down on the legs. Or you could bring the palms together in front of the chest. And with the palms together, you're pressing just gently into each hand, or pressing the hands together. At the same time, you're reaching the elbows out wide. So if I was just to press my hands together, it kind of makes me round through the shoulders, and we're not working with that right now. So pressing the hands together, but also reaching the elbows out wide, helps me to bring my shoulders back. It helps me to lift my chest. Your fingers are going to be as spread out and stretched as you can find. And it might be that your fingers are still bent, and that is as straight as they go right now. So just find that stretch. Maybe a stretch through the wrists and the fingers. But definitely that widening of the elbows, lifting of the chest. We're going to hold it here and breathe. And as you're breathing, we're still widening in the elbows, but also widening in the toes. So we've got our attention in all different parts of us. Coming back to that idea of union, of connecting up the parts. From here, you might be able to take your elbows out wider, so just the fingertips are touching. And can you do that and keep the chest lifted? If your chest starts slumping down, then I'd suggest coming back to hands together, or maybe even hands down. If you can do this and keep the chest lifted, can you take the arms out to the side? And if you have your arms out to the side, can you reach out through the arms? So from the shoulders, you're reaching to the elbows. From the elbows, you're reaching to the wrists. From the wrist, you're reaching out through the fingers and out to the walls at the side of you, still sitting up straight and tall. Don't forsake the spine just to get the arms in position. So if this is too much, remember we've got this position, or this position, or this position. I'm going to take 2 more breaths in whichever position you've chosen, making yourself big, taking up space. 1 more breath. And then bringing the arms down if they're out to the sides. We're coming back to this leg position, but if you want to bring your legs together for a moment, you could do that. And just having a couple of breaths just to be still. Okay, so the last of our movements today is we're coming back to this wide leg position. We're going to sit up straight and tall. As you breathe out, you're going to lean towards your right, leaning your right forearm onto your right thigh. Now in this position, we're not just leaning. We've still got the long spine. And so we're still lengthening even though we're making the connection from the forearm to the thigh. Your other arm, if you want to, you could bring it up in the air. You could even bring it over by the ear. I'm going to hold it here. As you take a breath in, if you have a hand up in the air, really reach up into the fingertips. As you breathe out, feel the sit bones or the pelvis down on the chair, feel the feet down on the floor. So I could feel that I was starting to tip off into the direction that I'm leaning, but actually to work to keep the pelvis down is going to bring more to the posture. So connect your pelvis to the chair, your feet to the floor. As you breathe and feel the big stretch through this side. 1 more breath in this position, keeping the shoulder down away from the ear. We don't want to be lifting the shoulder into the ear. Inhaling, coming up, resetting ourselves, maybe bringing your feet back together and coming back into position. Sitting up straight and tall. As you breathe out, over towards the other side, forearm on the leg. Remembering that we're not just leaning onto the leg, so we're still staying long through the spine. Again, I can feel that I've started to tip off into the direction that I'm leaning, so just make sure you can glue both sides of the pelvis or the sit bones, those bony bits in each buttock. They can glue, or as if glued, down to the chair. If you want to, you can lift that other arm up so it's facing up towards the ceiling, or maybe even over towards the ear. We're going to hold it here and breathe. As you breathe in, make your posture as big as you can find. Take up space. As you breathe out, feel the feet on the floor, even press the feet into the floor. Press the sit bones into the chair. I'm going to do 1 more breath. Wonderful. And coming out. Good work. We're going to bring the legs together. And maybe you want to have a little wiggle and a shuffle. Maybe you want to sit back into the chair and just be still for a moment and just take some rest. Okay. So I'm just going to grab those blocks again. And I'm going to put them under my feet now because I'm sitting back in the chair and my feet don't really reach the floor as well. So you might want to take that option. We want to get as comfortable as we can in the chair, and if it's appropriate for you, it might even be that you lie down. So you could lie down on the floor or on the sofa, on a bed if you're close to the bed, as long as that feels appropriate for you. So we just want to be as relaxed as we can be. Okay, so if I'm staying in the chair, I've got some blocks under my feet, I'm sitting back here. Hands can just rest wherever they are. And you remember this movement we were doing with the shoulders where we were letting go on the exhale. Well, we're not actually going to be doing any movements, but we're going to use the breath out again to let go of muscle work and muscle tension and to start to soften through the body. So if you're comfortable, close your eyes. If you're not comfortable with eyes closed, then keep your gaze steady at one point. Your breath is just coming and going in whatever way happens. And as you breathe out, letting go. The feeling of the shoulders melting down away from the ears. As you breathe out, sinking down into the support of the chair or the floor if you're lying down. As you breathe out, your fingers can soften and relax. And each time you breathe out, just letting go some more through the arms, the shoulders, through the neck. The spine is supported and sinking into the back of the chair. The legs can relax. Even the muscles of the face, so the forehead might feel like it's broadening or widening. Relaxing through the cheeks, through the jaw, through the tongue. Your easy and rhythmical breath comes and goes. You might even feel like you're just watching yourself breathe. And now see if you can keep some of that relaxation, some of that letting go feeling, even as you start to take a few wiggles of the fingers and maybe the toes, even as you open your eyes and maybe close them again and open, keeping some of the relaxation even as you start to shuffle in your chair. And the very last thing today is we're going to take a big breath in together and out. And that is us finished. Well done. Thank you for joining me.